I just, yo, what's up, guys? I just thought it would be cool to put on the nice shades, especially since it was a beautiful day out today. Right, Carlos?
Oh, it was amazing. Felt like we were not in
Carlos,
Philadelphia.
how was your day today?
Oh, busy as usual. Getting up early, 5:30. Office meeting with the staff, very productive. We have been reading books ever since we started doing the meetings every Wednesday. And right now we're reading The Rhinoceros Success, and we go a chapter at a time. And towards the end of the meeting, after talking about everything that has to do with the office and issues and projects that we're working on, we discuss amongst us, our opinions about the chapter and where's our takeaway and how we can, help each other, or like what you learned, and then it's very productive because it keeps everybody very connected and in tune with what the company's goals are and also with their personal goals. So it's pretty inspiring.
So very in tune with personal development.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big believer of personal growth. As a person, once you work on yourself and you get better, you become better at whatever you do. You're always going to do better in business. So is one thing transpires to the other.
That's definitely a big thing to take away, and I absolutely agree with that. And guys, first off, just wanted to introduce Carlos before we get into the content and the depth of this interview. Carlos first started his career with real estate with REMAX, where he sold over $10 million his year one. And I feel like as anyone who's successful, who works in a big company, Carlos then decided to start his own brokerage, Giraldo Real Estate Group. And then from there, Carlos manages 100 units in the Philadelphia area with his property management business. He rehabs 4 to 8 properties a year as a developer. He's now 2016 working on an insurance and construction project. And I think what's so awesome is that you're just 34, you have 47 rental properties, and you still have time to travel all over the world.
Well, it's a big job doing, all of this stuff that you described, and, making some time for yourself. It's always a challenge when you're in business for yourself, and you're really focused on making things happen, to set time aside to enjoy life, because, you gotta work hard, but you also gotta play hard. So there has to be a balance. And it's the hardest thing is not taking the time out, is coming back from vacation, even if you're going for a week. Oh man, just coming back to, where you left off, and then your brain and you're already out of the rhythm of work. It takes me a good 2 weeks to just go back to, catch up and go back to my normal stage. So, but it's always, a fun challenge to do.
To get back into the swing of things. So how is hanging out in Colombia with your sons and family and seeing all your friends from back in the day?
Well, Colombia is fun. I mean, we have that weather like we just had today all year round. So
Okay.
there's definitely, time for everything. There's no winter time. There's no snow. It's just 75 to 80 degrees all year round. So anything you want to do, you can do whenever you want. It's a lot of fun. It was a good experience. We were able to connect with family members that, we were not connecting for 20 years. So it was a good experience for them, because they were born in the U.S. and, they never really experienced the country like they did this time, going to a farm and, hanging out and seeing the real family and the jokes, the storytelling. I wanted them to connect with their roots, with their real roots, and they loved it. They want to go back. They actually want to move there. So
Wow.
pretty amazing. Yeah.
That's really cool. So I mean, 20 years of, I feel like it's been a while since you've been back to Colombia. Do you see old friends and they're like, wow, holy shit, Carlos, like you've changed so much. And then I love the quote that it's like, man, you think I worked hard to stay the same?
Well, listen, we all change, for good or bad, we all change. I do keep in touch with them through, social media or WhatsApp. We have a group of our childhood friends. So everybody's, sending messages, sharing stuff. There's always people getting married. people becoming single again. So, when you go back and you see and you meet with them again, their lives have changed. I mean, they all have their own lives. They're professionals. They're married. They're doing their own thing. But obviously, when you go back, our system in the U.S. is different from Colombia for many reasons. I mean, is more organized here. We have more. It's a little more structured. So when you go back and you see how people drive, how there's so many people in the street, walking, it's a contrast. It's a pretty nice contrast of seeing, how lively that the country is, but at the same time, it's a little bit unorganized. But it's a beautiful country, and the people are amazing. I mean, what I miss the most is the vibe of the people. People are very happy and outgoing and forward thinking, and everybody wants to do big things. So it's amazing. The vibe and the energy of the people is what inspires me the most.
It's all about the vibe and the energy of people. So could you tell me a little bit about how you first got into the real estate business?
All right. Actually, I did not plan to get into real estate, actually. My background goes back to computer networking, and I was managing a network at an accounting office, and in the same building there was a real estate office. So I was in charge of managing, the servers and the workstations in all 3 floors, which was the accounting firm and the real estate company. And at the same time, I was also doing some accounting because by working with my father when I was young in his business in Colombia, I learned some accounting with his bookkeeper. So I was doing the networking and the computer stuff at the company, but I was also doing some accounting for small businesses. So one day I had to go to the real estate office, to do setups or whatever. And I saw how flexible their schedule was. Because I mean, as being an employee of the accounting firm, I had to punch in and punch out. I had a schedule, and I had to be there at certain times. The real estate agents I saw just coming in and leaving the office as they pleased. And then one time I was asked to do a tax return for one of the agents upstairs. And when I saw her 1099, I was like, whoa, she makes this much?
How much was it?
It was 150,000.
Okay.
And I was like, she makes this much, and I'm making this much, and she's really not smarter than I am. I was like, okay, maybe I'm in the wrong business. But also, I never felt I was a computer guy, even though that's what I knew. I like people. I like talking to people. I consider myself pretty outgoing. So I really didn't like the fact that I was in front of a computer all day and the computer didn't talk back. So it was like you didn't have anybody to talk to. So I was like, I'm not too happy with this. So then right away, I found out where the closest real estate school was and registered myself. And then I asked the broker record at the real estate company if she will give me a job if I got my license. So she said, sure, get your license and we'll talk. I was like, all right, fine, great. So I took my course and I finished it within, 4 months, something like that. I was working at the same time, still working at the accounting office. And I took the test right away after finished the class because, I didn't want to forget stuff. I didn't pass it. So I said, all right, I'm going to study now for real. And then, I'm going to make sure I pass it. So I locked myself up in the house for the whole weekend and read the book from cover to cover entirely, made some notes, glossary, all this stuff, and took it again and I passed it. So I was like, great, I passed. So I reached out to this broker and she signed me up. So this was in December, right?
With REMAX?
No, this was a small company. I only worked there for like 2 months.
Okay.
So in a week that we had off in December at the accounting firm, I went to sell real estate and I sold 3 houses that week. I mean, wow. fresh, rookie, no experience. But I had also found my first property. The first property that I sold it to myself, which was a duplex. Then I worked for that week and I sold 3 more houses, and I was like, wow, I can really do this. But then I had to go back to the accounting firm because the tax season was about to start in January, and he asked me to please not resign until the season was over because obviously he needed me. So the season went by and I sold a couple more houses in between. I realized that I could not do real estate if I wanted to be successful part-time, because if you really want to take care of your clients, you have to be dedicated. So initially my idea was to work part-time in real estate and continue to have my full-time job while I made the transition. But then I was pretty successful from the get-go, and I was just, I realized that, okay, I can't do this part-time because then my clients won't be served as well. So then April 15 came, the season was over. I gave a month's notice to my boss, and went to work for another month at that small company, and then switched over to REMAX. The change was very different because the way a small company works compared to a franchise is totally different. So went to REMAX, interviewed with them. I also interviewed with Center 21, and I decided to go with REMAX. I don't know, vibe, connection, whatever you call it. And then I started in REMAX, and it was hard because I remember actually I had lunch today with my mentor, Joe, who was the REMAX owner. And I remember the first words that he said to me is like, Carlos, at REMAX, you either succeed, you fail, or you withdraw. Those are your choices. It's up to you, what the result is. And that always stuck to my mind because the first 3 months I had no income, no sales. Remember, I quit my job to go into real estate, and I already had a mortgage, already had a car note, responsibilities. And for the first 3 months, I didn't see any money coming in because remember, if you sell a house today, you don't get the commission check right away. You get it 2 months down the road, a month and a half, depending how the deal goes. So the first 3 months were rough. I thought about quitting a few times. So don't think that is not a thought that crosses people's mind. But I had the support of my family and the encouragement of some friends. And I kept pushing. I was the first one in the office, the last one to leave, 6 days a week. I will take any calls. I will get on whatever. I mean, I was hungry. I was hungry. I wanted to make it happen. And anybody that will call the office, I'll be right on it. I'll show them the house, even though you waste a lot of time doing that. But again, you're trying to grasp as much as you can. No leads, no experience. And then REMAX doesn't really give you much at that point. I don't know about now. They didn't really give me leads or hey, here's the client, take him out, and nothing. It was me on my own.
So basically every lead that was coming in, you were just hungry, ready to get on the grind and just qualify the lead or go take them out to check out houses.
There was one client that is very funny because they called in on a Saturday at 9:30 in the morning wanting to see a property, and it was a foreclosure. And I didn't ask him if they were pre-approved, they were going to buy cash, nothing. I said, I'm there in 20 minutes. And I showed up. They sold the house. We made a bid that day. They didn't get it, but then I sold them a more expensive home, after I was able to get him as a client the same day. And that's the most vivid image that I have in my mind about how, a raw lead you convert it into a sale. And guess what? This couple's daughter, their cousin, I got about 4 deals out of this call that I could have just said, oh, I'm sorry, you're not qualified. I can't show you the house. But I worked it, and that's how I worked the rest of the lead. So it was very challenging, and it was a test. It was a test of courage, and it was a test of a willingness to succeed,
Got it. So what would you say was a secret to your success of selling $10 million worth of real estate year one in the business?
What do you think, Francis?
Tell me.
Okay, well, it's not really a secret. First of all, you got to like what you do. If you don't like what you're doing, you're doomed for failure. So you gotta like what you're doing. I like people. I like talking with people. I don't mind meeting new people, strangers. You're gonna meet people who are nice, people who are not nice. So it's simple. You gotta like what you're doing, and you gotta work hard. If you're willing to put in the effort, the dedication, the discipline, and you like what you're doing, you're gonna be successful no matter what. Because people can connect with that. If you meet with a client and you don't like that client, or you're not feeling well about that client, he's gonna feel it somehow. He's gonna feel some sort of rejection. So you gotta have the vibe, the energy, and you gotta transpire. You gotta pass that on to your client, because if they feel that you're not competent, and it's not about knowledge, because I didn't have any knowledge. Remember, I was a rookie. I had no experience, but I was able to connect with them and to show them that I was willing to work hard on their behalf for their interest. And that's how you earn people's trust, because you prove to them that you are willing to do what it takes to make things happen on their benefit, obviously without breaking any rules or getting into trouble, So go ahead.
What would you say your thought process was? So you start doing well at real estate immediately. Good thing you didn't quit 3 months in when you were making no money, where I feel like 97% of the population would have quit. So what made you decide to go from REMAX to going and starting your own brokerage?
Well, there's a story behind that. All right, so I started doing well, paid my dad back the money that he lent me when I was broke. And, I started seeing some money, and it was great. And I didn't stop working. The market really picked up during those years, 04, 05, 06. And I knew the market could not continue like that forever. So I knew somehow, somewhere, the market was going to slow down. So my mentality was, let me do it while it's there. Let me take as much as I can while it's there, because I knew something down the line was going to happen. I mean, you can never always go up. There's somewhere that it has to come down. So in 2006, I wanted to move back to Colombia. Initially, it was my goal to go back to Colombia. I set a goal of an amount of money that I wanted. I said, you know what? I want to move back to Colombia. With this amount of money, I'll, start some business there or whatever. But then I said, you know what? To become a broker, you need to be at least have been licensed for 3 years as a sales agent, and then have sold an X amount of properties. I forget. So I was like, okay, well, my 3 years are almost up. I like studying. I don't mind studying and learning. Let me just take my broker's course, just to have my broker's license. It doesn't hurt to have it. So I signed up for the broker's course 6 months before my 3rd year anniversary of being licensed as a sales agent. So I calculated that by the time my 3rd year hit, I was already almost done with school, and I could take a test as a broker, and I could become a broker. At that point, I still didn't want to have my own office. I was thinking about going to Colombia and starting some businesses there. My mentor, he always told me, Carlos, if you stick around, you become a partner, and you can become part of this business. At that point, he was the owner of 3 REMAX offices throughout Philadelphia. He had about 50 agents under his wing, and actually I was the #1 sales agent, which is pretty nice. It was a competition, because in the back of the office there was a board, which I also have in my company now. And every time somebody sold the house, they will list it on the board, and they'll put the agent's name. So there was an agent in my office who was pretty competitive, and he was like always trying to beat me. And my goal was to never let him beat me.
Yeah.
And there was only one time that he came close to it, in which I sold 13 properties in 1 month, and he sold 12. That was the only time he came close to beating me, but he never did. And you can bring him online, and he can tell you I'm not lying.
So he'll go affirm that fact. So how did you, so now at 34, you have 47 rental properties. Did you even think that was possible when you first started out?
My goal when I first started was to have 10 duplexes. So that was about 20 units. And then as you get into the business and you start learning it, and you realize that there is definitely no limit to the amount of success you can have. I mean, the limit is only your head. Then the number grew exponentially. Then at that point, my brother, my youngest brother, Sergio, he decided to become partners with me in the rehab properties, rehabbing properties. So he will do the operation, and I will do the financing and the capital investment. So at that point, we also started buying some properties together, and our goal was actually 350 units back in 2006. So the goal was there. I mean, is when you start, you're testing the waters, you're learning the process, the way. But in 2006, the goal was 350 units.
Wow. And I mean, you're getting closer and closer and closer to that goal.
But right now it's not 350 anymore. It's 500.
Okay. And so, I mean, could you take people through the process of how they go out and get their first property? How did you get your first property?
How did I get my first property? Well, my first property I bought because when I was working at the accounting office, my office was right next to the CEO's office of the accounting firm. And one time I heard him say, there is no more duplexes in Philadelphia. I was like, what? I was like, okay, but then if there is no more duplexes or they're running out, I need to get me one first, quick. I mean, again, I was 20, I think I was turning 21 at that point. So then I approached them and say, hey, so can you tell me how I can buy my first duplex? Because I duplex, 2 apartments. I was like, I live in one and I rent the other. And then he's like, okay, well, you need a loan and you need this and that. So then I applied for a mortgage with a mortgage guy who used to solicit the business at the real estate company. And I got a mortgage. So we started looking at duplexes. And I was not convinced with the duplexes that I was being shown, because at that point I was still not licensed. And then one day I saw a duplex coming on the market. And remember, the market was starting to get real hot at that point in 2003. It was a 2+2, which means 2 bedrooms per unit, and it was 2 units. And it needed some work, and it was priced like at a very good price. I said, you know what, I have to see this property. So I went out, and there was no access to the apartments because the tenants were like a little problematic. And I ended up knowing that the tenant's son in the first floor, because he used to go to Northeast High School as well. So I knocked on their door. They let me in. I saw the place. I could not get into the second floor of the garages. I said, you know what, this is good enough. I mean, for some reason, you gotta trust your instinct. And I still do it up until this day. So I made the offer, negotiated, and got that property. And that was my first property. I said I was never gonna sell it, but I did sell it. But I made a very nice profit on it. And so the process was, get a mortgage, invest. Just, get yourself pre-qualified and just go out there and find the property. So that's how it happened for me.
So you just found that nice duplex, and you just kept playing the game, learning, and now you got 47.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's other stuff that happens in the middle, Francis.
Got it. What would be your tip now to a first-time home buyer that's looking to create the same success? I mean, 47 properties or 34.
Just start. I mean, buying your first property is not rocket science. Don't get yourself tangled. I bought that property without a home inspection. I bought that property without seeing the second floor apartment and without seeing the garages. I bought that property even though it needed some updating, because I don't know, something told me it was a good investment. And and I didn't have any real estate experience at that point, but I trusted my instinct. And some people become too tied up into the details. You gotta be practical in life. If you want to be successful, you want to make money, you gotta be practical. So because when you get tangled up in the little details, you're gonna waste time on the little details, and you're gonna be penny smart, dollar foolish. I made a profit of about $80,000 in that property in 3 years.
That's awesome.
I mean, I did not expect to make that much money, but I didn't get tangled up. Oh my God, I gotta get home inspection. How about if the heater doesn't work? Well, the heater doesn't work, you deal with when it breaks.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. You're still working, you're still producing money. So
in free enterprise and sort of having your money work for you, like that 80 grand is what some people will take a whole entire year to make.
Actually, average salary for a college graduate is 40-some thousand. So
yeah.
It's what it will make in 2 years. And that's how much did they take in taxes? And it was my primary residence, so I didn't pay any capital gain because I lived there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, what would be your piece of advice to just anyone looking to create success? I mean, anyone who sees you that's like, dang man, like Carlos is killing it. What would your
Just keep in mind that it's not easy. You gotta put some discipline and effort behind it, but you gotta be willing to take risks. If you're not willing to take risks, you'll never get out of the comfort zone. And as they say, the ones who play safe take the leftovers from the ones who take the risks.
Wow, that's powerful.
It comes to that. I mean, Francis, we've been friends for almost 2 years now, and you've seen a lot of the stuff that I do, and I bet on it. I mean, it's not a real gamble because at the end of the day, I could always rent the property out on a flip, but you got to be willing to take some risk. There's no way somebody can become wealthy without taking risk.
I absolutely agree with that. And so, what would you say is the most exciting property that you're working on right now? Exciting project? Is it that 6-unit complex in Northern Liberties?
Every project is exciting in its own little way. Well, the one on the 4-unit condo building in Fairmount is pretty amazing because that was it was initially we were gonna keep that property as a rental, and we decided to sell them, and we put a lot of effort into that property, and it's coming out really nice. I mean, it's already on the market. So if you want to move to Philly, you want to buy a condo, I'll be more than happy to show them to you. Well, you're gonna be licensed, so you can show it to yourself. But we can walk through it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yes. That was very exciting. The other two projects, the other 6 units in Northern Liberties are also going to be very nice. So I don't know. It's just like every project is exciting because you take something raw and you make it into something nice. Even if it's a rehab, you take a house that is the ugliest house in the block, it's falling down. You got that place, and you put it back together. You put a nice touch, and it's going to be somebody's home that they're going to enjoy it. So taking a raw piece of land and excavating it, putting in the foundation, the structure, it's like becoming a creator of some sort. So every project is exciting. I just love what I do. My clients, I love taking care of my clients, helping them become homeowners or investors, helping them build portfolios or real estate investments. It's just being able to give back to the people that trust you. It's just a great feeling, and at the same time, I'm making my living, so it's a win-win.
And I feel like you definitely stand in integrity because you have your money invested in the real estate market too. So it's not like you're an agent that's just telling people to go buy this, buy that, and they don't even have their own skin in the game.
Right. I mean, it happens a lot with stockbrokers. With a stockbroker, if they told you to invest in this stock, will they put their money there too?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if I believe in what I do, I have to be invested in it, because then how can you be trustworthy if you don't? So, and I just love Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a great place to do business. A little pricey because of taxes, but it's a great place. I think it's a city that has a lot of opportunities still for people who want to start, because it's not New York, it's not San Francisco, it's not DC where prices are like out of this world. And here you can still make a sound investment with very little money and come out amazingly. And not just that, there's millions and millions of dollars being poured into the city by big corporations to build high rises, research centers, more hospitals, more universities. I mean, you see it everywhere. So I think Philadelphia is a great market to be in and to start. I mean, I would not change it for anything else.
So if people want to get in contact with you, to hire you as an agent or to get advice with real estate or anything, what would be the best way to contact you?
Through my office. They can call me at my office and set up an appointment with me, and then I'll be more than happy to sit down. And I don't charge for a consultation. how many times have we talked about real estate, and even with some of our mutual friends. I don't charge for that. I think I give my knowledge freely to people, because you cannot force people to do business with you if they don't like you, if they don't trust you. So, I'm an open book. It's no secret. There is no secret sauce that I gotta save for, to sell the recipe. So, that's just the way I operate. And the people that know me, know that is true. So
Absolutely.
that's business.
I'm the same exact way, but just thank you so much for your time. Episode 9, Self-Made. I will catch you guys later. Thanks, Carlos.
Thank you, Francis. Catch up with you later. Take care.